keep us low. They think that we don't know, so we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know, so we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. Rise, 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 messengers of Jesus Christ, fighting until we see his kingdom. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know, so we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know, so we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. Rise, 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 rise,
We rise. Welcome back to
We Rise.
Ooh.
Oh, who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
handsome guy?
Come
over
on,
there?
what's up? You
What's
There he
up, Ma? There he is.
There he is. Welcome back, Mom. Haven't seen you in a while. It feels like I haven't seen you in a week.
Right?
So.
Now you guys have the
Feel my
exercise.
eyes.
Mom, the stun is, you going to be all right?
I'm gonna be fine.
You
I'm
sure?
Not, I don't want to shine like that.
Yeah, I see you coming.
It's
Hope-
low key.
You better have good head
Taking
movement.
low key, you know.
Work defense tonight. Tonight, who do we have?
What do we got going on?
What do we got
Yeah.
going on here? Let me see. Jamie
Ooh.
Jamie Angel, a basketball legend in Rhode Island. Jamie's our guest tonight on We Rise.
Thank you
Hello,
for having
honey.
me, JT.
My Silver
Thank you,
Lake,
Todd.
my Silver Lake native.
Mom,
Mav, what's going on,
Wow.
Jay? What's going on?
living the
So-
dream, baby.
So what's up, Jay? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Let's talk about where did you grow up, Jay? I wonder where you came from in the beginning before Silver Lake, the obvious.
Before Silver Lake?
Yeah.
Where'd I come from?
Yeah, where'd you grow up? Didn't you live in
Silver Lake.
all your life?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I came from my mother.
Yeah.
Came from my mother, Jay.
All right.
And
No,
then
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Silver Lake till I was about 10 years old. Then we moved to
Oh, that's what it was.
Western Cranston area.
That's what it was. I
Yeah.
thought you went from Cranston to Silver Lake.
No, Silver Lake to Cranston.
All right. All right.
Cranston.
Yep.
So go ahead. You grew up in Silver Lake.
Yeah, ask me the question.
No, I'm saying you grew up in Silver Lake. What how old were you when you moved to Cranston West?
I was about 9 or 10.
Yeah, and you went to did you,
I
did you end up going to high school in West?
Nope, I went to Western Hills Middle School and then I attended LaSalle Academy.
All right.
No.
But you gotta say
Catch it.
anything?
Catch it.
All right,
Jared off.
so no, I got this. Hold on. Let's give a bio of Jamie. All right, let me tell you,
Do it up.
Jamie works at HVAC at Brown University. She's also a motivational speaker and recently started boxing, which we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Talk about it.
All right. Jamie, she also services different forums such as middle schools, high schools, rehabs, detox, all treatment centers in prison, AA and NA.
Yep. You got
Good
it.
stuff. And Jamie, you can reach Jamie at Jamie Angel Speaks at gmail.com. And well, before we get started, Jay, I want to talk about something that I seen that it made me smile because you know me and you are always on the phone, we're always going at it, and
Always.
we torture each other. You block me 7 days a week. Like, I have to call you and say, Jay, unblock me. So
Literally.
just today.
That's what happens when you deal with two Geminis.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I see something, but I want to know. You said something about, but I ain't average,
Mm-hmm.
and you said I'm not being cocky. It's facts.
Right.
So I understood what you meant by that, but tell me what you meant by that statement
I'm
at
not
the
average?
end. The whole post, and I looked at it, and you said that's what you said, right? You
I'm
said,
not average, exactly.
but I ain't average.
Right.
That's a fact. I'm not being cocky, but it's facts. I loved it for a lot of reasons because it was a bigger post, but I seen it's a mindset
Mm-hmm.
that is able to get you there.
Mhm.
I mean, Tell me about that post.
So basically, the post was stating like, under all the circumstances that I've put myself in my life, with my own doings, and just life circumstances, things that were out of my control. A lot of people would have crumbled, or many people wouldn't have survived like the drastic, traumatic like endeavors that I've been through. You know what I mean? I just had this mindset since I was young. And I think it actually stemmed from my athletic background. Like, you just don't quit or give up no matter what. Like, the pain will pass. So I always relate it to like life circumstances that make me feel like I'm going to crumble, really make me stronger. Like, there's just like, I'm just not going to break. I may hurt in the moment, but I'm going to persevere through it all. Like, and I've seen a lot of people in my life, friends, family, that have just been put in certain predicaments and, really went totally the other way and just laid down and never got back up. Like, I fall down, but I continue to get back up, and there's no reason for me to, go back to the life I was living 5 years ago. So that's what basically I meant from that. Like, I do things differently than, some people may do. Like, they say if you want something you never had, you got to do something you never done.
Yep.
So like today in my life, like I just go to drastic measures to achieve the things that, like I didn't think I could in my past, like no matter what.
Let's paint a picture.
Go ahead.
So you went to high school
Yep.
in Cranston? Oh no, at LaSalle. You said
I was
LaSalle.
supposed to go to Cranston West, but I ended up going to LaSalle Academy.
Why did you go to LaSalle? Did you get a
The
scholarship?
athletics. Yeah, I had a
Athletics?
partial athletic scholarship.
And what?
Basketball.
In basketball.
But I also ran track and I was a hockey player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you excelled mostly at basketball.
Right. Believe it or not, hockey was my best sport though. I just never wanted to pursue it like on a college level because there was no fans in the stands,
Yeah.
and at that time women's hockey wasn't huge. So
Okay.
I stuck with basketball. It's where I shined
Wait,
really in public eye.
Yeah.
something I didn't know.
Boom.
You're better at hockey than basketball?
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Tougher sport.
But
scary.
it is a tough sport, but I really honestly loved hockey even more because like you can fight without getting arrested.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
great.
hockey.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you went to LaSalle
Yep.
on a partial basketball.
Yep.
So how did you do in high school at basketball?
I mean, I did great. I was surrounded by a lot of other first team all staters. Shannon Perry was a big inspiration to me. I came in my freshman year. She was a senior. I was the only freshman that made the varsity team. I also ran track at the time, so I was first team all state in track.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we won a
So
state
you didn't get
championship that
tired.
year.
didn't get
My cardio was great back
Yeah.
then. But sophomore, junior, senior year, I was first team all state. I was ranked one of the top point guards in the country at that point, and in New England. Division I offers all around me.
Okay.
Yep.
So what did you do with the Division I office?
So back then, like I was like, I could say this now, like seeing me from back then, like I was really like extremely mature. I definitely had a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to like really step outside my comfort zone and leave Rhode Island. I kind of used it as like a security blanket. But I had URI was interested in me. PC. I think it was called Ithaca, Siena, Assumption, Merrimack, Bryant. There was a lot of local in New England. I verbally committed with PC at the end of my junior year, and through my own circumstances and my behaviors off the court,
Yeah.
my scholarship was revoked very quickly.
Oh.
Your
Yeah.
behaviors off the court.
Yeah.
What kind of behaviors were off the court?
So
and basically not more so what kind of behaviors, but what led to it, and at what point did that even become an issue? Because you're in school, you're playing 3 or 4 different sports, you're excelling at everything, and then how does Jamie Angel go from that to that?
Right. So in the beginning, I used, alcohol and marijuana as a way of an escape from like my own mind. So since I was little, and I only know this from doing some work on myself, like I had a lot of extreme anger issues. And in being in the public eye so much and like in the newspaper and on TV, like I had a lot of pressure put on me to live up to some expectations, even in the game of life. On the court, I could live up to like under the pressure, no problem. But in the game of life, like I started veering off, hanging with the wrong people, you know, doing things that I never thought I would do. And I became just like a party animal in high school. At that point, it had not taken over my life, my addiction. It was like a weekend thing. It was after games things. But I definitely knew I was extremely different very early on because I was the person that always could outdrink someone, but I was the one that was always blacking out, getting in a fight, totaling a car. And, you know, I was the one experimenting with drugs at an early age in college when other people around me weren't.
So did you grow up around drugs? And like, how did that become? Because there are people that do grow up in the
Right.
environment of, you know, with the drugs. So
Mhm.
it becomes something that, you know, learned behavior.
Right,
And there are people that grew up and really didn't grow up around it,
right.
you know, and I know you and I know you didn't.
Right. Well, so the disease of addiction definitely like manifests definitely in my family, deep on my father's side. You know, I really didn't like see much of it growing up, like with you know, my grandfather, and I have some uncles that struggle, but you know, I kind of it doesn't discriminate. Even though I didn't see it, it was a void I had within me, and I used that void to fill my void with alcohol and drugs. And you know, I was one of the ones that, you know, it happened to. Once I put that first substance into my body, an addict was definitely born. You know?
Your escape. That was your
Definitely.
escape.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't have a way to escape. And
Right.
then we learn them through
Mhm.
friends and and
Exactly.
not even maybe sometimes not family, just environment and
Yeah,
things like that. So
Definitely.
all right, this
Yep.
is what I'm gonna do. This is working. When
Mhm.
it's not working, you think
Right.
it's working.
Oh, exactly.
It's not working. We're gonna go on a break.
Mm.
Ma, we're gonna go on a break. When we come
We're on a
back,
break, Marv.
when we come back,
Yeah.
you're gonna get some stuff out of her.
Yeah. Yeah. We're when we
So-
come back, Marvin's going to open up.
We don't like when he's too quiet.
No,
folks.
no. Matter of fact, put the camera. Marvin's going to open up when we come back. We'll be back
Directly on him.
directly on Marvin and Jamie.
All right, we
Boom.
rise.
Boom.
Pharmaceutical company Prevacus says their new concussion medication Prevacol helps repair nerves and promote cell growth.
There, we can get the drug in the brain in less than 5 minutes. And our plan is when we get that diagnosis on the field of play, give the drug nasally, get it in the brain quickly. When it gets in the brain, it actually gets into the nucleus of your brain cells, and it reduces swelling, inflammation, and oxidative stress at the same time.
When Jake and I first talked about this many years ago, one of my first questions was, will this help me? And he goes, no, this is for treatment immediately when a concussion or you think a concussion has occurred.
The acute problems that exist later on in life, if we can take care of these at an early age and start getting some of these things to our children and grandchildren, you know, and I think we can make this game, our game, football, a safer place.
And so the whole goal is we're trying to make we're trying to make the game safer. And so Odyssey and this drug, we believe, can be a game changer in so many different ways. Yes, on the football field, in the game of football, because that's where my passion lies, but also in the game of life.
Back, we rise. Before we get in a little further into it with Jamie, this Saturday night, the 19th, Victoria DeRico is fighting CES Pro Am card. What time do you know what time the pro show starts at 11? It ends at 4. The amateur show starts at 7.
Yeah.
Doors open about 6, right? It's a 2-hour intermission between the two events, but come down. We got tickets here at Legendary Boxing. Marv, you You excited about this, Marv?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it too.
All right.
too.
All right.
Vicky's
All right.
no joke. She puts in the work.
She's working.
hard.
She's
Little
working.
Vixen.
She's working. She's
She's
working.
gonna shine. This is the beginning of a rising star.
She's
All she gotta do is keep coming. It works.
yeah, she's putting it in. She's ready.
Yep.
Jamie. So I want to
Sharon.
what are the best resources that helped you along the way? Like, what did you tap into? What were your outlets, and when did you decide that enough was enough?
Enough
Hold
was
on, hold
enough.
on.
How yeah, well,
That's a good question. But what about rock bottom first? Can we get a rock bottom
Rock
story?
bottom. Yep. So
We need a rock-
for me, like everybody's rock bottom's different. You know, for me, it was honestly pain and just desperation and just continuing the same cycle. It became my motivator, and I had so much doubt around me. Now, I wouldn't say so much from my family, because my family stood by me through all, but like from people that were in my life that pushed away from me, that like, you know, the type of people that like clap when you're in the light and run when you're in the dark.
Yeah,
I
we
had a
know-
lot of
we
that
know
around
that
me.
was-
And I felt abandoned, but it almost finally, like, I don't know why it took so long, but I'm thankful it did. After 12 years, it like fueled my fire to be my motivator. Like pain became like a motivator to me. So like I was saying, I ain't average, and I don't mean that in a cocky way. In circumstances still that I go through, like I'm that type of person. Like, you think I can't do it? Watch, I'm gonna do it 10 more times
that's what I'm
harder.
talking about.
Like, that's just my mentality, and I'm thankful I have that, and many people don't.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing to have that mentality, because when the going gets rough, sometimes rock bottom isn't one. Sometimes rock bottom happens multiple times on multiple levels for different reasons.
Mhm.
Each time, what gets you up is experience.
Right.
Because if you've been there before,
Mhm.
regardless of what it is, you know what it takes. It just is a commitment to ourselves to actually
Right.
see it through. And that not everybody's cut from that cloth.
Right. Exactly.
And not every and that's the blessing that God gave you. And you know, he built a strong character. That's a strong will. There's got to be a reason to get off the canvas. You can't lay there and let somebody step on your face, and then next thing you know, you smile, you got 3 teeth. It looks like your tongue's in jail. You got to clean up, man. You got to You got to get up, man. And
Right.
it's got to be. There's got to be a purpose, right?
Yeah, of course. And one of my biggest eye openers when you say rock bottom, and in 2014 I overdosed, and I was on my front lawn, and it was like maybe 3 a.m. And thankfully one of my neighbors at the time, when I was living in Providence, called, you know, the rescue and the ambulance to me, and you know, thank God for, you know, Narcan. I was brought back, and you know, thankfully I went to treatment, and I did something different this time. I went to long-term treatment because I was, you know, I've done 32 different small detox rehab stunts. I went out to Las Vegas for 45 days. And initially I thought I was going to come back to Rhode Island, but I went out to Florida for a year. I stayed out there, you know, by myself. And
So you went to in 14. You went to Las Vegas to detox.
yeah, imagine Las Vegas.
It's like an
Yeah.
oxymoron.
Exactly. I tell people my first time I went to Vegas, but I was in rehab.
Yeah.
But something about that experience, really, the seed was planted in my head to, you know, make some adjustments and really change, because I was either going to go to jail or I was going to die. So, you know, something clicked, and thankfully, and I came back to Rhode Island, and, you know, I actually eventually relapsed after that. But I wasn't putting the tools and the things I learned to the plate when I came back here.
Can we stop you there? You say you relapsed.
Yep.
When you relapsed, did it feel like, oh, I relapsed, I might as well keep going?
Yes and no.
Because
So
it's easy just to keep
Right.
that snowball effect going.
exactly. So luckily, you know, it's crazy. I felt the guilt and shame immediately. But at this point, like you just said, I already did it. So I'm going to continue for a little bit.
My point. So,
And
yeah.
and I already, you know, put myself back in that rat hole. And at that point, I would say, well, I wasn't using this substance anymore that I was using in 2014 that almost took me out. So, you know, I could dibble and dabble with these other things, but it's a revolving circle,
Little
because
this,
whatever I
little
did,
this.
would eventually bring me back to that one.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then I got injured really bad on the job in 2016, and my finger was dismembered. I lost it. Thankfully, some of it was reattached.
Is that why you lost your hand model trophy?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that. Right? You were a
Yeah.
hand model,
Always.
and then this.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So
Lucky you're beautiful. Go ahead.
Thank you, JT. I lost my fingertip. You know, they sewed my finger back up, but I also shattered all the bones in both my ring finger and my pinky. And something about that experience, I know it sounds crazy. That little experience did something drastic for me. You know, what I thought would revert me back to a lot of my old behaviors, and that one particular drug I was doing did the total opposite.
Wow.
Did the total opposite. And you would have thought, you know, in and out of jail, standing in front of a judge, overdosing, car accident, suicide attempts, you would have thought that would change me. That changed me.
Wait, so
Crazy.
it's that's interesting, Jay, because you chop your finger off, you automatically need pain medicine,
Exactly.
but that changed you. So
Yeah.
how did you manage to, what did you do for pain, and how did you manage to, you know, handle that finger being chopped off and still make the transition into going
Insane.
sober?
I
That's
know.
powerful.
Insane.
Tell us about it.
So I knew, like, and people around me knew, you know, it was a sticky situation. They thought, this
yeah,
is the
well.
reason, forget it. You know,
Right?
it's over. We're going to get the phone call one day.
People don't come back from that.
I've had 9 surgeries since that injury on my right dominant hand. But in the midst of it, you know, I was still using other substances, but opiates was always my drug of choice. So when this happened, thankfully my mother held the prescription for me and administered them as needed, because I was in extreme pain. But you know, the addict mentality I had,
You could just go up the street and get more.
boom, you just said it. The
It's
addict.
you know, mom's control, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we can't go around
Right.
the corner and get on the phone.
Mhm.
So that
So even her giving it to me as prescribed, I got that taste back in my mouth that I want more.
Yeah.
So through this, you know, I was using other substances. So I got hurt on September 2nd of 2016. I got fully free of all mind altering substances December 10th of 2016, and I've been clean ever since. Yep.
That's great. So
Yep.
you decided it was like a decision one day. It was
Yeah.
just, that's it. There ain't no going back.
There wasn't, you know, it was putting me into such a mental, you know, a dark place, and never mind, you know, the things that were going on around me that I was causing. You know, I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, I'm done. And I cold turkey stopped everything
So
that I was using.
My question is this, because a lot of addicts or I'm not even gonna say addicts,
Just
like
people
NA
struggling.
people and AA people will say you're always an addict. Do you
course.
believe that?
I truly believe, yeah, I'll always be a recovering addict, but I could be an addict in many other areas of my life.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody that can, you know, ever just kind of do one of everything. I do everything excessively. Like it could be buying shoes.
you're a Gemini.
No.
I know about that.
There's nobody that I want to like hug and punch so
At the
hard in
same
the face
time,
at the
I
same
feel- I
time.
understand
Oh.
that.
I said it before. You hate to love me.
I
understand
have
that.
I told you I have the relationship. I block him on Facebook.
I watched it grow
Not
to
seeing
this big. I was a bodyguard.
So I believe that we can be transformed by the renewing of the mind.
Right.
Like you can become new.
Of course.
And I feel like, you know, at that point, if you did become new, then there is no going back, because there's certain things in my life that I used to do, and I know there's no going back.
Right.
I'll never go back. So I'm transformed. So I believe they teach that in a sense. I guess it could
They
be true, because all you had to do was make that decision but I truly believe, like, at the point that you're at and the decision you made, that you're transformed, and
Yeah.
you're not an addict no more. You're
Right.
not a
See,
recovering
yeah, I
addict.
find that's such an interesting topic to me, because again, you say you could transfer your mind, and for me, going on 5 years will be.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't like I needed it. So I didn't need a drink. Like I just chose the drink, and it would just be destructive. So for me, I just always would go out, and I was always partying. I was always in a club. I was always had a drink in my hand, and we always would just, next thing you know, the night takes over, and my twin comes out.
Right.
Yeah, we don't.
But it wasn't something that I needed. It was a choice that I made. It was a choice. So it was, this is the interesting part. I didn't wake up needing it.
Yeah.
I woke up and chose to do it. So when they said to me, go to this meeting, and I'm like, I was like weird because, hi, I'm Jared, I'm an alcoholic. I can't see myself saying that and speaking it out into the unit, because that's exactly what I am when I say it. It's almost labeling myself to me. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to do it this way. I called my friend and I went and got a bartending job.
Wow.
And I went right back into the fire.
Right there.
Yeah.
But you actually
You
did something very similar.
Yeah, but so that's how, see, because I love a challenge. And especially if it's chewing gum, and if we got to chew the gum the fastest, you see who bites their cheek. I'm into it. I want the challenge. So for me, it was important that I said, everybody thinks I'm gonna. People are like, oh, we don't want to go here with them. We don't want to go there. I said, don't change nothing. I said, at the bar, drink a soda water, because I'm in control of my choice on what I want to do. And I love the fact that I kind of took it back to me, and I just owned it. And but it's interesting how perspective.
I was going to say that perspective
of how we approach something with our minds, we can accomplish. We just know. I'm built like that. You said it. It's a fact.
Right.
That's your post, right?
Yeah.
You're built like that. That's just the way it is.
Maybe is that part of it, the challenge of just proving that you're more than what people made you out to be? Because I believe we are more.
Yeah, of course. There's so much more to me than, just someone that struggled with substance abuse or Jamie Angel, the star basketball player. There's so much more that makes up who I am. But here's the thing, recovery allowed me to figure out who that is.
Yeah.
So recovery's never been my identity. It just helped me identify who I really was this whole time, minus the drugs and alcohol in my life. But the whole perspective thing, that's big, because it really is, I felt exactly how you both felt prior to coming into a 12-step program. And I realized for me, I've already proven myself. I can stay, in recovery and clean and sober, but I don't put myself in those predicaments that I used to be in. I don't hang around with the same people. I don't do the same things. And I don't go in the same environments, because I truly believe, if you go in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. You sit in a bar long enough, you're going to have a drink. Those used to be triggers for me. But there's just no reason for me to be in those environments no more. Exactly. It's not that I think I'm better. I just know what's best for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to remember some of those things in my life that, caused myself and my family harm.
It's true. Even what you said, people, places, and things, and you knew what to avoid and what not to avoid. And sometimes people, places, and things could be that energy that they have in them from their lifestyle of doing negative things.
Right.
You hang out with someone who's living that way, it seeps into your skin, and you take it home and you infect everybody else around you. You don't even realize it.
Exactly.
You walk into these places that are dark, and that darkness, it comes in, and you're like, why is nothing going right? And then you turn around, and when you get to a point where you can see clearly, you realize the people, places, and things. Well, I walked in this building. Who cares you walked in? But as soon as I walked in there, the activity in the building and the people that are doing things in the building, that energy is really dark.
Right.
And when we walk in the darkness, we don't even realize it. Sometimes it becomes us. But Ron, I want to Mav, right?
Mav's just chilling.
Mav.
Ron.
I want to. Yeah, because Mav's kicking me under the table.
Mav's quiet.
Mav's kicking me under the table. So Mav, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
No, I'm kidding.
Yay, Mom.
Go ahead, Mom.
Mom
Get in
did
there.
me
Dig
like
it
that.
in. Dig it in, Ma Boogie. You got the camera on him. Yes. Dig it in, Ma.
That was me a couple weeks ago, though. I ain't gonna lie.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Go
But
ahead,
we
Ma.
can't have that from you.
Yeah.
You're a leader over here.
Come on, Ma.
Close up.
Good.
Well, you got a close up. Oh, no, I'm definitely not saying that now.
You don't have to. You look speak for
So
themselves.
let's take it all back. For me, I want to start from the base again. Okay. So we're going to talk about your athletic prospects. You know, so I met your dad about a year and a half ago, right? And as Jimmy Angel got to say what's up to Jimmy. So you get all your athletic ability from your father. So let's not escape that. Your dad was
of course
all-state basketball player.
Yep.
You did track and field, you know, and he's not shy to tell you about it.
No,
So your dad was a pretty good hoopster, which translated into you being a pretty good hoopster. And you said you went to LaSalle, and you had a great coach, and I'd be remiss not to say Leo Butler, awesome guy, you know, guy that I had the pleasure to meet when I went to LaSalle. Great coach. So you had two good things working for you. You had the genes, the genetics, and you had a good coach, right? So you started playing ball, you excelled at that.
Right.
At some point in time, you kind of went off the deep end, you were saying, which is kind of unusual because for people that don't know, your dad was a narcotics detective.
I know.
You know, so he's
That's
spending
sick.
most of his time
That's sick.
locking people up
Yep.
for using drugs. But now he has to deal with his own daughter. And how do you kind of balance the two, you know? So when you were coming up, did you feel a little like, man, you know, my dad's out here fighting against his cause. And now how did he handle the fact that you were getting involved in narcotics?
You know, I think with my dad, you know, he has like, it stemmed deep in his, you know, family genetics for so long. And I mean, he watched this growing up with his you know, his brothers, sisters, and my grandparents. So I think when it came to like me, he was in extreme denial, to the most. And I mean, I can understand that now. I didn't for a long time. Because, you know, most people think like, oh, I brought my kid up good. You know, I put them through this. I was an active father. You know, they grew up in a nice area. None of that matters. Right. What matters is what I felt within myself, and the escape and the negative ways that I tried to soothe my own mind. Because, like you were saying, Todd, it's really like when people talk about the disease of addiction, it's really your mind. It's really the obsessive compulsive side of your mind. Exactly. But, you know, he was in denial for a long time. You know, I think that he was embarrassed. I think he didn't know how to handle it. He maybe thought he failed some way as a parent, as a dad. But that's not the case, you know?
Yeah, he was very active. He was active in your life.
Yeah.
Which I think it has a positive effect too, because now when you're out there, right, and your dad, I've heard great things about your father, even when he was a detective. Your dad's out there, and sometimes you get hardened to the environment. You're like, oh, I don't want to hear no excuses. You're going to jet, you know what I mean? You're doing. But now when you have to deal with that same thing at home, it helps you be more understanding out in the street. You know what I mean? Because now you got to say, well, this could happen to anybody. It's not just these people are, you know, they don't want to do anything with their lives. They just, you know, they're trying to get by and just, you know, live beyond drugs, and they're just, you know, bums or whatever, because now it's in your own home. Yeah. So it forces you to look at the environment a little different, right? That environment a little different. So it might have had a positive effect on him, although it had a negative effect to know that his daughter was, you know. Yeah. And then you get to and I know this, and your dad, you know, he missed work for a while because you lost a family member, right?
Yeah, my brother.
To the same thing. And so you lose your brother to a drug addiction. That had to hit home for you in terms of, I would never touch this stuff now because I see the devastating effect. How did you deal with that, knowing that, man, that it could have been you? And how did that affect you, knowing that something that you were doing so recklessly took the life of your own brother?
So it's so like, it's so crazy because, you know, you never think that it's going to happen that close to you. And when it came to, you know, the sibling in the family that you would have thought might lose their life to addiction, everybody would have said Jamie. However, my brother struggled with some mental illness at the same time. Mixing it, you know, with alcohol and other substances creates a recipe for disaster. And I really, for a long time, and it's only been 2.5 years since this happened, and thankfully I was in recovery when this happened, and I had some like tools and knowledge and good solid people around me and avenues to go to help fill my spirit and feed me of, you know, not going back out there and making that stupid decision to go get high or go get a bag or go get that bottle just because of the feelings I was feeling. I suffered with survivor's guilt tremendously. Still to this day, you know, grief in my life, I said it perfectly. I had to speak at an event for people who overdosed and they have siblings or family members. And I said, you know, I thought active addiction beat me down, but grief was my knockout because I never experienced grief in my life. And I never experienced it. My first hit in my life was my own brother, who I was, you know, trying to help. So I struggled with like, really like, how did I find a new way to live? And my brother, who wasn't even as bad as me, nowhere near, how's he resting peacefully? And I'm sitting here and now I'm in this tremendous pain because he's not next to me, because I'm succeeding in the disease that took his life.
So do you use that experience? Because Jared said you're a motivational speaker,
Yes.
right? So do you use that experience when you're speaking to young people and trying to get them to go a different path?
Of course, 100%. You know, like I used to sit here and think for the past 2.5 years, why this happened? What could I have done differently? Like I bargain, I put myself in situations where I think I could have saved them. But at the end of the day, like I only could save myself. And I laid out a bunch of different ways for him, you know, to recover and to just try to follow my lead, not tell him what to do. But that situation in my life has really made me a different person, 100%. But it's also really shaped my character even more and who I am and what I believe in and things that are important in my life today.
Gives you resolve, more resolve.
Big time. And, you know, it's hard. It's still hard to this day. I've had to seek outside help, you know, for grief. Like, and I'm not ashamed to say that, you know, I have the courage to walk through that and do that because, you know, I don't, as much as I love my brother, I'm one bad decision away from laying next to him.
Yeah. Does the grief ever really go away though? And does it's always there. It's when you think about it, you know, that grief doesn't change. You just learn how to control it.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't change. I mean, it never goes away. I'm sorry. It changes. It gets extremely different. I used to get like really resentful when people were like, don't worry, it's going to get better. Don't worry, you'll be happy again one day. It's like, no, it doesn't get better. Like that's a lie. It doesn't ever get better. It gets different. You learn to live without that person is what it really comes down to. You don't forget. I constantly remember. And, you know.
See, for me, like I look at, you know, you say you're one decision away, right? So I came up in a house and your dad, you know, he's had some dealings with my family when he was a narcotics detective, you know. So I came up in a house that was full of like drug use and addiction. My uncle passed away from drug abuse, you know. My mom was in heavy into drugs, and coming into that environment as a young kid trying to go to school and trying to maintain healthy relationships outside of the home, it just drove me away from home. I just spent as much time as I could outside the house. I didn't want to ever go home. But what it also did was it made me look at what it did to the people around me and in my environment. I'd say, I'm never gonna do that.
Right.
So when I see, to me, I don't, and maybe I'm glad I don't have an addiction like that. But when I see people who come up in that environment, you didn't, which is good, but people come up and they follow that step. It's like, what about seeing your, family member or whoever, people in your community lose everything and destroy them? So what about that's appealing that makes you want to try it? Like, so for me, for young kids, like people, I would say the best way not to become something is not to even do it, not to try it, So I don't understand, me to you, how could you even think about going down that path again, knowing what it cost your family? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And how hard that was on your dad, because I saw the pain in his face.
Right.
So I personally hope that's not a choice you ever make again.
Right.
Because the end result could be what you've had experienced.
Exactly.
Let's take a break, come back with Jamie Angel.
Good stuff.
We ride.
Pharmaceutical company Prevacus says their new concussion medication Prevacol helps repair nerves and promote cell growth.
We can get the drug in the brain in less than 5 minutes. And our plan is, when we get that diagnosis on the field of play, give the drug nasally, get it in the brain quickly. When it gets in the brain, it actually gets into the nucleus of your brain cells, and it reduces swelling, inflammation, and oxidative stress at the same time.
When Jake and I first talked about this many years ago, one of my first questions was, will this help me? And he goes, no, this is for treatment immediately when a concussion, or you think a concussion has occurred.
The acute problems that exist later on in life, if we can take care of these at an early age and start getting some of these things to our children and grandchildren, and I think we can make this game, our game, football, a safer place.
And so the whole goal is we're trying to make the game safer. And so Odyssey and this drug, we believe, can be a game changer in so many different ways. Yes, on the football field, in the game of football, because that's where my passion lies, but also in the game of life.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Blue Rise Podcast here with the Hulk, Jared Tillinghast in the building, and we have Jamie Angel here, special guest live on set. Just wanted to say one thing before I turn it over to Jared. It shows something about you and your character where you can just say, that's it. Because my mother was on drugs for many, many, many years, and one day she just said, I'm not doing it no more, and stopped. Jared had a alcohol addiction, and one day he looked in the mirror, and wherever he pulled it from, he said, I'm done, I'm not doing it no more, and never went back. And to be able to do that shows something about you internally, and it's always good to have a good support group. And you have a lot to look back at to say, man, do I want to ever end up there? So you have a lot of motivation, inspiration not to turn back onto that path ever again.
Experience.
And keep moving forward. And not only that, Jamie, but to help other people not have to deal with that.
Right.
Not have to go through that, because what are the outcomes?
Right.
You're gonna end up dead,
Jail, institutions,
jail,
and debt. There's the three.
None of those are positive outcomes.
Dead.
So if you're watching this tonight and you're struggling with something, you got to make a decision first. That decision has to be, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick to it, and I have a lot of things I can look back on to say, these are all the reasons why I don't want to do that again.
Exactly.
And I have a lot of great things to look forward to if you don't do it.
A lot of people think they're alone when they're in this situation because they isolate. and then you feel alone and you lie to yourself. Your mind tells yourself that you're alone anyway. Why am I gonna? But you got to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Definitely.
You have to surround yourself with iron. You know?
Iron sharpens iron.
You have to surround yourself with the like-minded people, because the lies that we tell ourselves when we're in that state will keep us in that state. But that's the enemy. That's the lie.
Right.
We're stronger than that, you know, and that's what you need to know. Like I'm no different than you. You know, that you wake up like I wake up. We have one, you know, I bleed. I'm gonna go to the grave like everybody else. We're only human. But there's gotta be something inside of your soul that you know you have, that you don't listen to the lie and surround yourself with the right people. It's a mindset, you know. Nobody's different than anyone else, and we can all do it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take the first step. You got to pick the phone up. You got to call that one person, that one friend, that old pastor, that priest, that whatever it is that you have to do. Don't hold it back no more. Just get on the phone and make it happen. Right?
That's it.
So I wanted to ask you also, what were the best resources that you used to help you along the way besides AA recovery? What were a couple of the good resources that keep you grounded and motivated?
Like outside the recovery field?
Yeah.
So outside the recovery field, you know, like thankfully, I was someone that always, you know, had a lot of hobbies. Inactive addiction, those, you know, forget it. Those dreams and things that you used to do go away, but they come back as long as you stay clean. You know, I was always an athlete. I got involved back playing basketball. I got back involved playing hockey. You know, I do service work in the recovery community and help other people. And, you know, I even became a basketball coach temporarily for my partner's 2 sons, just try to stay involved in their life and do something that would help me. And, you know, there's just so many things. Like I like to go fishing. I like to punch Jared in the face.
A lot of people like doing that.
Yeah, fishing.
I mean, I just have, there's so many things that I enjoy doing today that are what's should I say, that are basically detrimental to my recovery because they help me stay.
Just keep them busy on
Exactly.
positive things.
Right. It's besides work and like family stuff. Like I do a lot of different activities. I'm involved in a lot of different groups that help me stay, you know, grounded.
Well, you know, this is Rhode Island. You know the people, our connection with our families. Cousin Johnny, he said he's the best athlete anyways, and
he knows he's not. He is good at cornhole though. I gotta tell you, he is good at
cornhole. Is sport,
maybe he goes to the professional league.
Johnny, you hear that?
He's nasty at cornhole. I'm telling you.
He's nasty at cornhole. Is that Olympic?
That's what me and him battle with back and forth. And he catches bigger bass than you, so I don't know.
He fishes at the
Shout out to
reservoir.
Constant Johnny.
He goes to the pet store and does
he goes.
Johnny was nice in his day, though.
So wait. The reason I'm saying that, Jimmy, it's Rhode Island. I mean, people talk, you know, social media.
Yep.
I hear you're quite the boxer.
Whoa, you should
I hear
know.
you're quite the boxer.
You should know.
I just want to talk about that. You know, she fights, right?
Well, I know she had scheduled a fight.
Yeah.
And then something.
He got an injury, so I have 3 rib fractures. So no sparring. I know nothing serious for me right now. Yeah.
Marge, you know
You're
that?
not done yet.
No, I'm nowhere near done. I don't care if I'm 36 or what. Listen, when I got out of college, I was telling you earlier, when I got out of college, I've always wanted to fight. I've always loved it. I love the sport. I've had a passion. I've followed everybody in, you know, Rhode Island, watched all the local fights since I was little. Even Jamie Clampett signed like a pair of gloves for me when I was like probably like 13 years old.
Yeah. You're always
it was the coolest thing.
You were always a street
Always
fighter.
a street brawl.
How do you feel about the transition going from the street to boxing? How was it?
You know.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Jared was
He knows.
First of all, Jared was
knows.
a sweetheart out in the streets. He never got
Well, Halo.
I had guts in the streets. I'd fight guys, girls, dudes, whatever. Anyhow, I could scrap. I naturally have scrap in me. I have naturally have scrap in me.
That came from who else? But your pops, your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Angel.
She's athletic. You're athletic.
So
it's
to an
genetic
average person, yeah, your genes, your athleticism.
But when I
Mom
when
don't
I,
want a ticket. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's trying not to get a ticket. Jimmy ain't gonna give you a ticket anyway, Mom. Don't
No.
worry. No.
He'll fix one. He'll fix one for you though.
Now we will.
Yeah.
No.
But honestly, when I did come here and Jared helped me get my feet wet and get back, wanting to do something that I've never done and always wanted to do. Even up to 10 years ago, I would message her. I was like, hey, I want to.
You're an athlete.
But when I did try to get in here and learn that, I was frustrated quick with the footwork. And I mean, like I could move, but it's different. And form and all that. I was like,
change.
I'm used to shit coming like that for me.
Yeah.
I'm used to shit coming from like that for me. So
Yeah.
when it didn't, I was like,
Is this for me?
I ain't quitting though.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't
This is
quitting
a
though.
challenge, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
That's
ain't
where the
quitting though.
magic happens. See, that's the
Yep.
spirit. That's in the
But look,
DNA.
but I love the fact that like, all right, after all the stuff you've been through, the age, whatever, all the things, you're still like going after that.
Yeah, I'm
that
gonna.
dream that you had years ago.
Right.
You're not letting it
Yeah.
escape from you because
Exactly.
eventually time takes everything. away.
Yeah, and honestly, I look back when I got out of college, I went to Manfredo's for a few months and was working with Danny Macaruso. I broke my hand outside of the gym in a fight,
Yeah.
and that's when my addiction really manifested. But here we are. I'm 36 years old. Sorry, 37. I just turned Gemini. But you know what? It helps me. It's more than just a fight in there. It literally helps me mentally, and I've always wanted to do it. And I'm not looking to be no big pro, like
Who knows? Who knows? Women boxing's wide open.
world champion. Like
Who
I'll ride
knows?
out
Who
and fight
knows?
amateurs and have fun and do it till
It's the experiences.
exactly. I love it. I love
one's
it.
headgear, one's no headgear.
Yeah.
The experience is the same, and the experience is really what it's about.
Right.
Pros get paid money, but that money 9 times out of 10, there's no boxes with money. You
Right.
know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
or retired boxes with, or MMA fighters with money.
Yeah.
You got it somewhere else.
Right.
So really, it's the experience, and it's equal. It's an experience.
Well, the amateurs are actually tougher than the pros.
That's what I hear.
Until you get to that
Sometimes.
level. Well, unless you're talking mixed martial art. But in boxing, if you're with the right people, you kind of like,
You
you
can
know,
get
they
pretty
dug
far.
someone up out of St. Anne's, they put him in front of you. You
Can I get
you
that
know,
back?
that's,
I want to
you
play
know,
my first
that's,
boxing
that's the
fight.
way they build records. That's just the way, the nature of the beast. Even if you're a baddest fighter around and you're the biggest prospect, you're not going to come up and fight the iron right away. You're going to build your record.
Yeah.
You're going to get yourself to a point.
If you have the right guys in your corner.
If you have the right guys in your corner, if you don't have the right guys in your corner,
You're gonna get
and
fed to
you're
the
gonna
wolves.
fed to the wolves. So it's you in that amateur boxing, you're gonna fight all the best. You can't duck amateur boxing, so you're fighting all the cream of the crop, and that's where the experience comes in. So when you do get pro, you're nice and seasoned for the amateurs.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the amateurs,
But watching amateur boxers fight is the best because
They quit.
they
It's
go for the
nonstop.
guts.
Yeah, it's nonstop. I love it.
It's crazy.
I get bored when I watch some of
Swinging
the pros
for the
now. I'm like,
fences.
look at these two. They going at
Yeah,
it.
the
I love
technique's
that.
there, but they're
That's what I
not,
wanna
they're not
watch.
all in.
Yeah.
well, because the white strip on the gloves,
Yeah.
the white strip. The amateur boxing, they're like this, they're, I guess they're pressing buttons every time the white hits, or
Yeah.
it's a computer system.
Yeah.
And sometimes judges, like I'm not gonna say nothing.
We know
I'm gonna
about
stay
all-
out of that one.
We know all about that.
No, but the amateur boxing would be a good experience.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
Absolutely.
It's fun. I love just working out and training so far. I love it. I wish I, got to stick with it when I was younger, but it wasn't the time.
But I noticed you stepped in my drip when we walked in. Is that why
This
you're
is a good
so-
time to take a break.
Is that why-
I stepped in your drip.
Yeah, we wrapping it up.
I'm just kidding.
Take us out, Hulk.
All right, we're
Take us
wrapping
out,
it
Hulk.
up. So I had something every week. I say a verse,
All right.
but my verse completely changed while you were talking. I was just appreciating that you would come in here and open up with us. And then I started thinking about all of our guests that have been on here. I appreciate you and everybody else that come on here because they're opening up, and we're just like Jared said, we're all the same. We all bleed. We all live, we all die. And we all go through things. So
Yeah, we all have fight in us.
this is my verse.
Let's hear it.
Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female. For you all are one under Christ Jesus. If you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Thanks be to God.
Boom. We're all one. That's what,
All one.
that's what I heard.
We're all
Yep.
one.
No different. Just keep working. Don't get frustrated with the boxing because it is a little different. But you are a fighter, not a fighter boxer. You're a fighter in life. And when you're a fighter in life, that's going to transcend into the fight because you could teach people how to box, but you can't teach people how to fight. You know, when you get punched in your face and that light goes off, are you going to fight or are you fighting? Because most people are going to run. You know, that moment is going to defy who you are, you know?
Sometimes I wish I ran. I wouldn't have got shot, stabbed, all kinds of stuff. Why can't I run, man?
Right? He'd go home and beat himself up for not running. Got a black eye.
Yeah.
All right. So Monday, checking out.
Where we at? Where
Oh,
we at?
eyebrow. We
Hold
gotta get the eyebrows.
Oh my
Come
God.
on, come on, Jay.
This
Come on.
kid.
You gotta get it. You gotta get it. Come on, bro.
Jay, you got one.
They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. Rise, 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 Messengers of Jesus Christ, fighting till we see his kingdom. They wanna keep us low. They think that we